So I just saw Trance. Trance. Okay, so the plot of Trance is, without giving away any spoilers, because I know people are trying to avoid spoilers on this film, is that there's a painting at an auction that's stolen, and in the process, James McAvoy's character, who's protecting this painting, is knocked out. And from that, he loses quite a lot of his memory from that time period, and he's forced to get hypnotised by a therapist to try and recover some of those memories back, and then the film expands from there. Now, I'll be avoiding spoilers throughout this whole review, because to be fair, it's better to go in this film blind. Don't watch any trailers, any clips, read anything about it. Try and go in as blind as you can. I'm going to start off and say this is Danny Boyle directing it, and it looks like he's having a lot of fun with this film. Unlike some of his, more serious films, it looks like he's really getting just down with this film and trying to get some enjoyment out of it, and hopefully the audience does as well. But despite the director having a lot of fun making the film, this is still a film that requires the audience to keep up the pace and keep watching and paying attention, because you can't be not invested within the story of this film, because you'll miss bits and then the film will basically spiral out of control for you and become a bit confusing. It has a pace unlike a lot of films. It's kind of like a dreamlike pacing because of the hypnosis that he's going through. You kind of go through like a dreamlike setting at times, and the pacing goes alongside with that, and the editing as well, because it's kind of edited together in sort of a non-linear way at times. And the editing in this is fantastic. It manages to seamlessly blend, bits from all over the place and put them in a cohesive, basically narrative structure, and you're able to follow it while it's still picking pieces off from different directions. Boyle uses a lot of visual imagery in this film to create a lot of the story elements and to keep the pacing going, and the audience invested in this really interesting story. And it has some really shocking and disturbing moments as well with the imagery, which is very reminiscent to some of his work in, say, films like Trance. So it's nice to see that he's managing to keep up this visual flair throughout the film, and it's constantly engaging. And throughout this film as well, you've got this fantastic electrical score pumping in the background, very similar to Dread that came out last year, and it really keeps the film going at what feels like a brisk pace, and it just keeps moving and moving. There's never any time in this film where you feel like you're at a hold still. It just keeps pushing forward and forward, and you keep breaking down barriers and learning more. And you can kind of see there's kind of some exploitation cinema roots in this film. The use of overexposure of colours, like there'll be overexposures of red, look for in the seedy areas. There'll be overexposures of blue, stuff like that, to really show you the mood, and they really enhance the visual area of the surroundings. And it has what a lot of exploitation films have as well, which is these really horrific outbursts of violence, as well as outbursts of nudity as well, and sex, and it kind of mixes them into the mix of the film, and it doesn't feel like out of place at all, because the way he's directed it and basically put a tone on it, it kind of fits in beautifully. Alongside this as well, he also manages to push in some dark, dry humour, so the film can basically be going through different types of, genres, and it goes at a seamless passion. However, the film isn't perfect. There are some problems with it, for the fact that the characters are pretty much underdrawn. I mean, you learn bits about their past, but you never really get a sense of their characters. You never really feel like you get into them and really understand them. And basically this is just a surface piece. There's nothing really deep or contextual in this film. It's a really engaging and intelligent film that constantly keeps moving forward, and has this really strong visual and well-directed style to it, but in the end it's nothing more than a well-directed, well-crafted and well-shot mystery. However, this film is constantly engaging, and does a lot that you wouldn't see in normal cinema films. Danny Boyle kind of puts his own take on things, so it's stuff that you wouldn't really usually see in your typical mainstream film. It kind of has some independent elements. So I'm going to give Trance a 4 out of 5. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought it was extremely entertaining. It's got this beautiful pacing to it. It's a really intriguing, inventive mystery, and I would definitely suggest you check it out. And as usual, if you like this review, you can click subscribe and you can see more.